David, I do have a question about how you or the league would handle this Ja Morant gun gesture thing. It's like I understand how important it all is, or how important the way that the league presents itself is, but it does feel odd. I don't know if odd is the right word, that we're calling this an investigation. Like, what are we doing? It's either get a man a fine or move on. Like, I don't quite understand it.
Yeah, I want to be careful here, and I want to get this right. Is that so? And this is, I'm happy to admit what I am, which is middle-aged and white. Is what he did an expression that is commonly associated with guns, or is it a celebratory thing that you do when you score or do something right that's actually not sort of a gun salute type thing? I don't know the answer, and I assume that's what the investigation is. And are other players doing it too?
Well, we're old, David.
Yeah,
and
all three of us.
And Dominique. So what we see now more so is when people are taking pictures, young people especially, some of them like to make the handgun gesture and, let you know that, I keep it loaded, even though no one is shooting anyone with handgun gestures. I don't, the problem I have with it is, who has Ja Morant seen this work for? Right? Like after a while, you gotta study the behavior and think, oh, I've seen this work for Jordan. I've seen this work for LeBron. And even if you don't want to be those people, look at Isaiah Ryder's career. Like, look at certain careers where you're like, maybe I want to stay away from this. And if his goal is to make as little money off the court as possible, then knock yourself out, player. But I don't get it. I got an 8-year-old son. I try to teach him certain things. I'm sure Ja Morant's dad has tried to teach him certain things. But once a guy gets this position and has been emboldened by as much money and also the talent that he carries and the impact that he has on that city, you just got to hope he grows out of certain things. But the gun gesture thing, probably never. I mean, I remember when Chris Webber was doing a throat slash and people were upset with that. So I don't know how this is ever going to work out in his favor, except for the people who are telling him it looks cool on the outside.
The funny thing is, like, I'm hesitant. Obviously, there's plenty of people to talk about how ridiculous it is. Does clearly seem like it's like assault rifle gun gesture. Like, I don't think, I understand. I appreciate, David, you acknowledging that you may not be sure, but it feels like it falls specifically in that category. But I also think about Ja Morant, and I think Zion falls in this category also, and Anthony Edwards falls in this category. I complain often about the early professionalization of youth sports and how we get kind of all these athletes who are trained to be boring,
robots,
and uninteresting, and they play that way and they act that way. And Ja Morant's not one of those guys. And so, like, I appreciate that Ja Morant skyrocketed in his popularity because of the way they played, and not because of the gun stuff, but because he was interesting. And I like that. But sometimes what comes along with that is he hasn't been polished. He's a rougher rock that hasn't been through this AAU, this Nike circuit that 12-year-old talented basketball players have gone through, which is how you end up with a player like Jason Tatum, who plays incredibly well and says nothing that I care about.
Yeah, but there's people who have come from rough backgrounds who get out of that and then realize, you know what? Not only do I not want to go back, I don't want to even, like, for instance, Isaiah Thomas. You know where Isaiah Thomas is from?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Thomas.
The original.
For whatever, the original Isaiah Thomas. For whatever reason, you make it to Detroit, you make it to the University of Indiana, and you say, you know what? This is what I'm going to focus on. Basketball is key. And then you run into the bad boy image and all this other stuff. But at some point, like with LaMelo Ball, like Ja Morant, like Zion Williamson, extremely gifted, talented dudes, but at what point do you say to yourself, this is hindering the progress of whatever I'm trying to accomplish? Because, in the end, you can't have it as a league. There's certain things you just can't have. And on top of it, especially in this league, where the little hint of violence might sway certain people who have marketing dollars.
So who's in Ja's ear, would you say? Is it his agent, his parents, his sponsors, his friends, his family? And the question is, are they in his ear from a business standpoint saying, hey, be you, be unapologetically you, it's not going to cost you $1? Or are they saying, listen here, you have an opportunity to really have a problem because he already lost out on the full max deal that he could get because of the issues he had. So is someone actually helping him? That's what the agent is supposed to be for.
I'm not sure that anyone's in his ear at this point. Like it feels like the people believe that he ran the coach out. Like he has all the power that he needs in an organization right now. And I think that to push back on something that you said a little bit ago, I don't even necessarily think that it has to do with where the player came from as much as these things are kind of pop culture things that are gestures. Like you'll see guys hit a three and shoot the three guns where it doesn't matter where they come from. I think that's the question, and how close the NBA wants to be aligned to those things. Obviously they don't. Whether they want to be
well, they don't want the players to be aligned with it, right. But obviously where people that invest in the NBA put their money seems to not really matter what they support.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I guess I don't know. The thing that jumped out to me about this is that they're doing an investigation. I don't think you need an investigation.
No.
What's the fine for doing gun gestures? Get that man the fine. Like, unless you plan on suspending him because of his history, this feels odd to me.
I think this was also something that came up at the NFL meetings this week in regards to, like, gun gesture celebrations and things like that. Like, it's something that got flagged a lot last year in college football and in the NFL, and something that, like, all of the leagues seem that they're trying to crack down on right now. So it's not just happening with
well, when 75%
of
the participants are playing Call of Duty, especially on a day like today when Verdansk Mac has dropped back in our lives. I mean, you know, there's a relationship that is weird there where, you know, you remember when Kobe was a part of the Call of Duty commercials back in the day? Like there's this, hey, this is the culture, this is what we breed in this country in terms of loving guns and making sure that your rights aren't being infringed upon. Just don't do it where little white kids sitting courtside might be influenced by it. You know what I mean?
I can't wait to the game tonight because Ja's in town. We should get tickets. Go see Ja. Go see Ja and play the Heat, right?
Yeah, with Kyle Anderson, who's plus 47 over his last 4 games.
There we go.